ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Tuesday, July 6th. Hey, I'm glad to be back. Welcome back myself. Welcome back to you. Drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling the White Claw phone lines at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer, it is made pure. Coming up today on the program, I get a chance to talk to the interim athletic director of Marshall University Athletics, Jeff O'Malley. I was hoping to do this week, and we're going to do it today. Looking forward to talking to Jeff. He's been with Marshall for a long time now, taking over as athletic director. It's on an interim basis, so we're going to talk to him here in the next few minutes, get his thoughts on the upcoming year, see what he's thinking as far as, is this something he wants to do on a more permanent basis? Is he going to be a candidate? And kind of get a feel for where he wants to take the university while he is the athletic director. So we'll talk to him. As I mentioned, we'll get your phone calls in, but also you can join me on Twitter at Paul Swann. Already a couple people are wanting me to ask a couple of questions of Jeff, basically wanting to know if Jeff's going to try to get Marshall into a different conference. I don't think that's going to happen. It would be interesting, to say the least, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Marshall right now is going to be a solid member of Conference USA. Geographically, I would love to see eventually some of the Conference USA schools, some of the Sun Belt schools sort of get together and make a league that makes more sense on a geographical basis. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if there's any push for it, but at the same time, it would be interesting fodder for another show. So we'll save that. We'll table that for later on. We got a lot to get into. The MLB. Let's start. You know what? I'm going to start the NBA. NBA Finals coming up tonight. Game 1, Phoenix Suns Arena. Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Suns. Bucks haven't won a championship since 1971. Phoenix has never won a championship. And so somebody's getting a championship in this series. If Giannis is playing, and he's still a maybe right now, he could play. We just don't know yet. So if he plays, I think Milwaukee wins this series. Maybe in 6. 7's a possibility, but if Giannis plays, Milwaukee wins this series. If he doesn't play, I think you got Phoenix at maybe 5. Phoenix in 5 sounds reasonable. Right now, we just don't know. We don't know his status, but I think he's a game changer if he's going to be able to play. We'll find out closer to tip. Of course, you can listen to the finals on our sister station tonight, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. We got Pittsburgh Pirates baseball coming up tonight. Atlanta taking on Pittsburgh. 7 o'clock is going to be first pitch around 7 o'clock. We go on the air about 6:40 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Now with the NBA Finals tonight, sort of some controversy going on, not involving the game itself. If you've been following the story about Rachel Nichols, now if you're watching the NBA, you watch TV, you know she has been at ESPN for a long time. She's done a lot of sideline work. She has hosted many programs, and it seems that maybe she's not happy with the situation happening at ESPN. I'm not an insider to ESPN. I don't know what the culture is like. All I know is it seems like there are a lot of unhappy people right now. And she was caught on a hot mic, a hot camera. Unbeknownst to her, she was having a personal conversation. She made comments about one of her black colleagues, Maria Taylor. And so she's had to make an apology. She was expressing herself, making comments to someone, venting. She didn't say anything disparaging. But she did make the inference that the only reason why Maria Taylor is being advanced is because of diversity issues. And I've seen Maria Taylor many a times on television, and I think she does a fantastic job. I think Rachel Nichols does a fantastic job. So I don't know what the culture is like at ESPN, but right now it's become part of the story. So ESPN has replaced Rachel Nichols as its sideline reporter for the NBA Finals because these comments happened. It was a little more of an internal situation, but once it makes national news, it's out there. And so she is going to be excused from her sideline duties. Interesting story to say the least, because on one hand, nothing really being made disparaging, but she's also making the inference that her colleague has been advanced because of diversity and that it was not based on her merit. So, in a sense, she's basically saying that that person isn't qualified, or that the only reason why she is getting that job is because of the diversity hire. ESPN's in a tough spot right now because Maria Taylor is a really good talent to have, and I don't know the culture or anything going on at ESPN other than I know you got two quality reporters right now, and I'm sure both are not happy. But that shouldn't be the story here. It should be the Suns and the Bucks. And that's coming up tonight again on our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. Okay, when we come back from break, we're going to bring into the program Jeff O'Malley, Marshall's interim athletic director. It's a good first guest to get back into the swing of things here. I'm looking forward to it. So Jeff joins me on this other side of the break as we get ready to really get the rest of this week going. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back here with you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our phone lines this hour brought to you by White Claw, hard seltzer made pure. I want to welcome to the program now. He is the interim athletic director of Marshall University, Jeff O'Malley. And you were on last week, so I got to try to do a better job than Bill Cornwell did interviewing you. And that's a tough act to follow, but thanks for doing it. I mean, you've been on the radio, twice here in the last few days. You're a busy man.
I am. I got a lot more popular these last couple of weeks, so which is good. That's all fine.
I don't know if your popularity is increased or just your visibility is increased because, I'm going to be quite honest. I don't know a single person that doesn't love you. I mean, everything I've ever heard about you before I met you, now knowing you, and then you getting the job, everybody loves you. I mean, you were a shoo-in for president of the university eventually, right?
They probably hadn't talked to my kids yet, so because I'm sure that they could probably tell some things that people don't like about me. But that's great. I mean, it's awesome that people have such good things to say about me, and hopefully I can live up to that in this new role. So I'm honored that I was chosen to be in it, and of course I have all the respect in the world for Mike as well. But we're just going to continue to try and move Marshall athletics forward.
Is it safe to say that this is a position that you're going to put your name in and say, look, I would like to be the athletic director. Let's remove interim. I mean, you've got a lot of time now to make the case for yourself. Are you looking to do that, or have you made that decision yet?
Well, it's not really something I need to decide right now, Paul. I think it's a trial run for both sides of it, and there's obviously there's a lot of change with the leadership in the university as a whole. So, as been said before, the new president is going to be the one that's actually going to make the final decision. So, when we're going to let that process play out, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. But, that's not going to stop me from doing whatever I need to do. I don't want to sit here and be a placeholder and just be a manager, until a new AD is named. I mean, there's going to be a lot of time between now and then. So, there's things that are going to need to be done. And if we just sit here and tread water, we're going to fall behind. So we got to keep moving forward. I mean, this NLI stuff is a perfect example of it. I mean, we can sit here and not make any decisions until then. But at that point, we're gonna be so far behind in the recruiting battles that we're actually losing ground. So I'm trying to keep up with everybody and even try and stay ahead and making some of these decisions. So with the and we're doing that with the announcement last week that we signed on with the influencer group to help build our student athletes brand and also our brand, our social media brand. That's going to be a big part of it. We're going to sign another deal here this week with another company to help out with educating our student athletes on the NIL ramifications and things that they need to know, like tax stuff and how their income is going to affect their federal financial aid potentially, not necessarily Marshall Athletics financial aid, but their federal money, because we have kids that receive outside aid as well, and there's going to be implications there. But there's a lot to digest, and there was a call today on an NIL or a webinar that I was on today, and it was just there's so many unknowns, and it's just going to be a learning process for everybody, including athletic administrators and university administrators, and how we're going to handle this thing moving forward.
My guest is Marshall Interim Athletic Director Jeff O'Malley. I guess a great byproduct of the NIL is now Will Ulmer. I get to maybe eventually buy some of his music because he's very passionate about performing, and that's just something that's a natural progression for who he is, if you know that young man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great for all of our student athletes, right? I mean, this is a great opportunity for them to market themselves, and not only the Will Ulmers of the world and the Grant Wells and Tavion Kinseys, but there's so many female student athletes out there now taking advantage of it. There's I think on Friday or Thursday they had the two women's basketball players from Oklahoma, and they were in Times Square unveiling their billboard out there, and it's great to see them being able to take advantage of the extra income as well.
Jeff O'Malley, my guest, Marshall Interim Athletic Director. So you sit down in the position now, and really the only thing that maybe has changed for you is the chair's different, because you have been someone who has been in the department for a long time now, and you're known as someone who gets things done. So this really isn't something that's alien to you or strange. I mean, you're already hands-on. What's changed, though, now that you're the athletic director? I mean, you're still pretty much going to be that hands-on type of person. Do things change? Do maybe you get to do a few things differently that you wanted to do? What's in your mind so far going to be the biggest difference with you being the athletic director?
Well, there's just a lot more coming at you, right? So I kind of had, there's some areas where my hands were on everything in the department, and then there were my other areas where I was more concentrated, such as compliance and academic, men's basketball, men's golf. But now I'm dealing with everything else. I have a lot more. I have a lot more of my hands now in football than I'd done before, and dealing with the change in the staff there, and looking forward to the new football season. But and there's so many things coming at you from different angles. So the delegation part is going to be something that we're going to do. We're going to try and reassign some of the responsibilities in the department, at least a little bit. Like some of the stuff I was doing, I don't necessarily need to do to handle some of the other things, especially the fundraising aspect of it. So we'd like to move forward with the baseball stadium project, and we're trying to get that the program statement done for the Board of Governors, so we can get that approved and get moving forward. And and we have to look at what we're going to do with Gullickson, with the basketball facility, and then obviously the Shuey project here that we're working on and trying to get some upgrades that Coach Huff wanted in the Shuey building with the locker room and the atrium and the entrance out into the field that the team takes.
Are you going to be able to do all that? Delegate instead of being the guy that gets the ball. Instead, you're going to be the quarterback now. I mean, you're both are integral parts of the offense here. The quarterback's directing everything. The running back's the guy going forward, or the wide receiver. Are you going to be okay with
Right.
handing that off and like, okay, go get this done. I got to go over here.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing that. It's just a matter of who you're going to hand off to. Because, I mean, we're all, and we've said it for years. I mean, we're all kind of thin here in the department anyway, thinly staffed. So you don't want to pile it all onto one person. But, in essence, we've kind of lost the body, right? So with Mike moving out, going over to the president's office and me filling into that role, we kind of lose my spot, so that's going to kind of be divided up, and the staff's been great. They've been whatever you need me to do, we're more than willing to do it. So, that it's the only thing, going back to your original question, is you just don't want to delegate it all to one person. You just want to divide it up so everybody's not overloaded.
My guest is Marshall Interim Athletic Director Jeff O'Malley. So the question for me with you now is, there are a lot of things that are already going on, a lot of projects that have been going on behind the scenes. While you have the opportunity, are there things that you would like to pursue that maybe we don't know about yet and you already are, or that you're thinking about, okay, how can I do this? Because I'm sure you want to put your stamp on the department while you're in the position to really make it feel like, as you mentioned earlier, you don't want to be just a guy that's filling the chair. You want to actually run the department. So that means there will be things that you want to do that maybe haven't been done or you want to do differently.
Yeah, I think there's some things that I'd like to do a little bit differently, and I'm trying to get some input from, I'm trying to meet with all the head coaches and to get their input on just kind of the questions you had just asked me, Paul, is, what are some of the things that you wanted to do that you felt like, you couldn't or didn't, couldn't do for various reasons, and what are some of the things that you think we can do better, and we need to take a look at. So, as I get those answers, I think that's going to formulate the answer to your question. The bigger picture is like, what else or what other changes to the department do I want to make? I have some idea of them now, but I'm not really, they're not clearly formulated at this point until I can really sit down with everybody else and talk to them. And that's been an ongoing process.
I'm sure something else you want to do, is all athletics members in your staff want to do, and you, is find new revenue streams and find new ways to bring more money into the athletic department. And the budget's in a good spot right now, but you would like it to be better and be able to do more. How much of that is going to be you hands-on? How much of that is trying to find the right person to use their talents to maybe try to come up with those new revenue streams? Because I'm sure this is an all hands-on-deck issue.
Yeah, it's going to be a team effort. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You could, we can hire the best people in the world, and it's always been a team effort here. I mean, from day one, the day I got here, it's always been a team effort. And I think that's what, made this place kind of special, is we all get it in the room. And if we have ideas, it's not like, oh, well, that's so-and-so's area, so I'm not going to step over there. It's, if it's an idea that's going to make somebody else better, I think everybody needs to speak freely, and they do, right? Speak freely to bring it forward, and we would discuss it, and see what we want to do. We're going to try and ramp up our outbound sales initiatives to try and get season tickets up. We're looking at selling, or we already did. We put on sale for soccer season tickets this year, which is the first time for everything. We're looking at trying to increase seating capacity down at Hoops Family Field. We trying to get some temporary bleachers in there this year until we can get an idea on demand, but also because of the short turnaround in the season. I mean, we finished at the end of May, and then all of a sudden we're going to be playing again in August, which is a unique, time because of the pandemic. But those are just a couple of things we're trying to do to at least increase revenue.
My guest is Marshall Interim Athletic Director Jeff O'Malley, taking the position starting July 1st.
July.
Yes. I mean, if you've been there for so long, I mean, you've been working since you haven't had a break. So January, July, it doesn't it doesn't really matter here. So with all of that said, and you've got your challenges, but at the same time you've got a good handle on it. How important has it been for everyone else involved that you've been there? That's the beauty of this right now is this is a situation where you're already there. You know what's going on, and you have your ideas and opinions as well of how to do things. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're a face that everybody knows and recognizes, and that's got to feel good though for this athletic department right now, coming off of a pandemic and trying to move forward. That right now, you're someone who you're you're a known quantity, and that's good. I mean, because you have the knowledge of everything. We don't have to bring a new athletic director in right off the bat with Mike moving over to the president's office. You've got that opportunity here to really, as you keep mentioning, move things forward because I mean you've been driving or at least been in the vehicle moving it for so long.
Yeah, yeah, and it's been such a rough year for everybody, right? Especially in athletics, because we did such a great job managing the pandemic here at Marshall and in West Virginia, but that took a lot of effort and it took a lot of, I mean, you're talking about, your trainers have been, involved in testing, which is something that they hadn't, had to do before, but you're testing these athletes 3 times a week and you're testing all these, when you get to testing everybody 3 times a week, it's not all on the same day, and so, that took a lot of effort. Nobody could really go on vacation last year because of the pandemic. So, when you start throwing in an uncertainty in leadership, what was going to happen at the top, that really kind of took a toll on people. So I think that having that known quantity, I think really helped the staff in general and our coaches, that like, hey, this is, just the named, we can now move forward and at least in the short term as to, what this department is going to look like, at least for the next 3 to 6 months or, whenever they can move through the presidential search. So it was helpful, and you know where some of the landmines are, the people and the players that are involved. You already have relationships with a lot of the donors. And I think that's a big help. And it really helps shorten that learning curve, especially on an interim basis.
My guest, Marshall Interim Athletic Director Jeff O'Malley. All right, Jeff, I got a question from Twitter earlier. I know the answer, but I'll reframe it a little bit after I ask it. I was asked to ask you if you've got any plans to get Marshall out of Conference USA. Now, I know that's not happening. Conference USA is where Marshall's going to be. It's a league that has a lot of potential. I think in soccer, for example, Marshall just won a national championship. So there are lots of sports that tennis is another, baseball is another. There are so many different sports where the potential is there for national prominence. But as the athletic director now working and navigating Conference USA, what is that process like for you, or at least what's it going to look like for you as you progress through it?
Well, 5 days into the job, I don't have any plans right now to move us out of Conference USA.
Okay.
But you have to, you always have to monitor the landscape of the situation. And there's nothing, I think everybody nationally in college athletics right now is focused on this name, image, and likeness and what that's going to do moving forward. And especially with the Alston case, coming down with the Supreme Court last month as well, that threw a little more, gas under the fire. So I don't know when the next round of conference realignments are going to take place. I know that there's been some discussion and speculation as to, what that could potentially look like, but that's something that we're always going to have our finger on, and see, see what happens. But right now, Conference USA is the best fit for us. Like you said, Paul, the soccer league is good now, and it's going to get better the next 2 years with Coastal Carolina coming in and WVU coming in. The baseball league is also one of the best in the country, as well, and and they're looking to improve the national footprint for both football and men's basketball. So those are some of the things that we're continuing to work on, and we're going to monitor the conference landscape as well.
I guess as a side to that, now with the proposed restructuring of the playoff system here, where 6 teams automatic, no conference automatic bid. So if 2 of the 6 teams that are invited to be automatic qualifiers come from so-called group of 5 conferences, and that puts everyone on an even playing field. So it's really more important what you do with your program and the conference. You don't have to necessarily worry about, can I get into one of these other conferences where a guaranteed automatic bid is for football. The evening of the playing field seems to maybe make it more advantageous now to be the very best you can be in Conference USA and elevate yourself that way.
Yeah, so like a group of 5 is definitely going to get in because there's only there's 6 automatic, so, and there's only 5 Power 5 teams. So by default, one of the group of 6 is going to get in, and I like the way they did that. They didn't just, it's not labeled a group of 5 spot or anything like that, which I thought was really good. And there's a chance here to get multiple teams in. I think if you look back on one of the years, I don't know if it was 2019 or 18. I think that there would have been actually two group of 5 teams into that 12-team field based upon how it was set up. And the one thing that they haven't really mapped out yet is the financial part of it and how that's all going to feed back into the different conferences. That's something that'll be decided at a later date.
My guest, Marshall Interim Athletic Director Jeff O'Malley. Jeff, before I let you go, anything maybe you want to hit on that we haven't had a chance to talk about, or anything that maybe you'd like to let people know?
No, we're just excited, right? We're excited for the new season. I mean, it's a great time. We're excited for our student athletes having the opportunity for this name, image, and likeness. And we got a chance to defend a national championship in men's soccer here starting next month, and we're really excited for the Huff era. That's probably the biggest piece of it. We're going to have a full stadium in the fall, barring any other this Delta variant that everybody's talking about, but hopefully that'll subside with people getting vaccinated, and tailgating. I know our fans are really looking forward to getting back out there and tailgating. And we're hopefully I have some announcements there about tailgating and our fan experience coming up here in the next couple of weeks, just to build some excitement around football starting in the fall.
He's Marshall Interim Athletic Director Jeff O'Malley. Now, okay, I will let you go after this question because I know the answer already. I've asked it of every athletic director as long as I can. I already know the answer. When do I get Marshall hockey?
I probably could be a little while. I don't really know. Is anybody capable to have? Can they still do ice down at the Civic Center or the Big Sandy Arena? I'm
not sure. I'll inquire in on that. Arena. Yeah, I don't know if they've got ice here, but hey, that's a long-term dream, right? I can dream.
Hey, I came from UMass, right? And I was the hockey administrator at UMass back in 2002, and UMass won the hockey national championship this spring as well. So
see, look, it's making sense to you already.
There you go.
Now you want to do it.
There you go.
Now you want to do it. You could do men's and women's hockey. I mean, that would be beautiful. And I'll tell you what, I'll be forget the media pass. I'll be a season ticket holder. How's that?
Awesome.
I'll pay.
We'll get it going.
I'll pay for a season ticket. I'm not gonna take advantage of my position here. Let's make that happen. Jeff, congratulations. I appreciate you so much. Good luck. I know it's going to be a fun ride, and I look forward to seeing where it takes us. And I know it's going to be a long one, hopefully a long and fun journey for you.
Hey, thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. And, be happy to be a guest at any time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That is Jeff O'Malley, Marshall's interim athletic director. All right, we will get your phone calls in at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. More coming up here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Buckle up. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Tuesday, July 6th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. It was a busy week last week. A couple of things happened. Governor talked about it today during his coronavirus briefing. Jim Justice detailing the appointment of Chad Pennington. He has been appointed to the Marshall Board of Governors. Now, Senate still has to approve this, but he said, we are very happy he agreed. I think he will absolutely knock it out of the park. And this was Jim Justice again during his coronavirus briefing earlier today. So that happened. I know a lot of Herd fans are excited. Chad, one of the iconic figures of Marshall athletics. A lot of people are excited that his son could be quarterbacking if the commitment holds. His son could be quarterbacking one day for the Thundering Herd. I'm sure that will bring up lots of memories for longtime Herd fans. Pennington was the real deal as the quarterback of the Thundering Herd. So hopefully, if his son can live up to that legacy, Herd fans are going to be happy for a long time to come. Paul Swann, your host here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So that happened. A lot of signings going on. I can't really get into all of those signings because every time I turned around, I turned Twitter off. I tried to at least for a little while, but I had notifications on for Coach Huff, and every time I turned around, the herd was getting bigger, the herd was getting bigger, the herd was getting bigger. So a lot of signees making their commitments known that they're going to be part of the Thundering Herd. I'm excited. I know you're excited as well. I appreciate you being a part of the show today. We got hockey to talk about when we continue here on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We're taking Paul Swann everywhere. Download or subscribe to The Drive with Paul Swann on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget, if you get our podcast on Apple Podcast or any service that lets you rate and review, we appreciate a 5-star rating here. Lets other people know that this is something they want to listen to as well. So I appreciate everyone who supports the show, supports me. Welcome back to The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Swann. You can also find me on Facebook. I've got a group set up just for you and a Facebook page. We post links to the podcast. We'll tell you who's coming on the show ahead of time. You get all kinds of information. And with the group, you get a chance to interact with other Herd fans. Hey, maybe even you will set the tone of the show. Maybe you saw something interesting or something you want to discuss on the show. Well, there's your opportunity. Join the Facebook group. Join the page. It's on Facebook. Looking forward to seeing you there. Hockey last night, big-time win for the Montreal Canadiens. Josh Anderson scored his second goal in overtime, 3:57, and Montreal Canadiens avoid elimination. Game 4, I thought it could have been a sweep for the Lightning. Instead, Game 5, going back to Tampa. If you're going to win the Stanley Cup, sure, you want to sweep the other team, but you'll take Game 5 and you'll take it on your home ice. Carey Price was amazing. Stopped 32 shots for Montreal. Montreal killed off 5 penalties, but at the same time, and he scored his second goal. Josh Anderson scored it in overtime. He was pretty busy last night. Montreal wins the game 3-2. Game 5 coming up on our sister station, Cat Sports in 93.3 and 1340. Also, that'll be right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Volleyball news. Ari Agnes, who I just had on the show about a week or so ago, so I can't go to that well just yet. But the Herd schedule comes out today. 9 matches at home. All that information is on herdzone.com. But it's a pretty strong schedule. You've got Miami University among some of the teams. Middle Tennessee, of course, your regular conference foes. You've got Old Dominion. You've got FIU. You've got Austin Peay. You've got University of Alabama as part of the Marshall Invitational. So you've got several teams that are coming in, and it's a pretty interesting road trip as well to several places. You've got DePaul, Wright State, Ball State going to be in the Wright State Invitational, going to be in the Southeast Missouri State Invitational. Kansas City's in that. Memphis is in that as well. Morehead Invitational with Morehead State, Pittsburgh and Toledo. So several interesting matchups for Ari Agnes, trying to strengthen the schedule as she's wanting to get her team ready for the Conference USA tournament. And Marshall University swimming and diving freshman Paige Banton named to the College Swimming and Diving Coaches Association of America 2020-21 Scholar All-American team today. 789 swimmers and divers were named to the All-American team for the 2020-21 season. The award recognizes students who achieved a grade point average of 3.5 or higher and were invited to compete at their respective national championship. So, good job there. Those things are always important as well. So, trying to highlight those with the Thundering Herd. So, a lot of good things happening today. Of course, don't forget, we got baseball action coming up for you tonight here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 as Atlanta taking on Pittsburgh. That is coming up next hour. Also, Game 1 of the NBA Finals. That is tonight between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. Going to be on ABC 9 o'clock. We're going to go on the air a little early on our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. You can listen to that game as the Bucks and the Suns. Should be an interesting series. Will Giannis play? If he plays, I think Milwaukee has got a good shot of winning this maybe in 6. I'm thinking 6. If he's not playing, I'm going to take Phoenix in 5. It's the best I can come up with you. That's the best I can do. It's the best I can come up with. So hopefully we will see what happens there for the NBA Finals. One thing is certain, it's going to be interesting. You don't have some of the usual suspects you usually see in the NBA Finals. I think that's going to be a good thing for the NBA. It's going to be a really good thing to have a team that's not won it ever, or last time winning it was in 1971. So the league should benefit from having some fresh faces and a new city winning the championship. As much as I love the Lakers, you don't want the Lakers winning it every year, right? Unless you're a Lakers fan. And I like the Lakers. I'm a Lakers fan, but also I can step back a little bit and understand that you got to have some different teams win it as well. But again, I'm not an LA resident. I'm not a native from California, so I can make that argument. I can step back and make that argument. Now, if you ask me, hey, should Marshall Soccer win it every year? Oh, yes. Oh, most definitely. Never, ever lose it again. Most definitely. For here until eternity, it should be Marshall Soccer, the national champions, every year. And I know that's not going to happen, but boy, I would try to make that happen every year if possible. So yes, you get a different argument from me there just because of the fact that, let's be honest, you're supposed to be objective in media roles, and you're supposed to be someone who can look at things without bias, or at least not be a booster or supporter. No, I'm good. I'm going to pass on that just because I want to see Marshall Soccer win every single year. You want your team to do well. As an alum, you want your team to do well. So there is that divide between host and journalist, and I am glad to be sitting on that dividing line. I really am. All right. Hey, it's been a great chance to get back with you here for the week. First time in about a week or so. So grateful for the opportunity to keep coming back into your lives every single day. Thanks for being a part of the program as we knock off some of the ring rust, getting this thing going once again. I had to remind myself where the studio was. I mean, it was just a week, but I had to remind myself where to go. All right, you sit here, you do that. So we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to do it all over again with you here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. As I mentioned, don't forget, there are places where I would love to interact with you. I've got you covered on Twitter. You can find me at Paul Swann. You can also find me on Facebook. We've got a group for you. It's called the Drive with Paul Swann Group. How well named is that? It's what it is, and it's really easy to find. And, of course, you can also find us on Facebook with our show page, The Drive with Paul Swann. That's going to do it for this edition here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again.
WRBC Huntington, W231BS Huntington, broadcasting from the Oscars Breakfast Burgers and Brew Studios. This is ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.